Hello friends and welcome back for episode 44 of our Rogue Legacy Let's Play. As you may remember last episode, we finally competed with ourselves until we completed our goal of finding all the equipment, including our final Dark Helm. So we've got the complete set, I just need to buy it, and we will be funding that purchase very, very shortly as we head back into the castle with Sir Hornsby II, a Paladin class with 246 strength, 170 magic, and 292 armor at level 470 freaking 5. So we've only got a few levels left, as well as just that one piece of equipment, and then the last bit of runes that we need to unlock. So, not a whole lot left, but we're here to do it. Nothing to it but to do it, right? So we're just going to collect a bunch of gold. I don't know, maybe in the second half, if this run turns out to be particularly short, maybe I'll do some sort of a weird experimental thing that I don't necessarily always do. I don't know, maybe I'll play the dragon or something. Although, that's really kind of dependent on exactly how useful... Oh, I should have done this the proper way, I forgot. Depending on how much magic damage I can sort out during this run. Man, they don't even have anything to give me anymore. Are there still going to be stat ups now that I've found all the equipment? Probably, right? Yeah, Planky. You're dead to me. What's up here? Oh, a couple more magicians. This Paladin is rocking butt with his crits. If you've noticed, his crits are 787. That is redonkulous. That's way higher, I think, than even what it was as some of the other classes. I didn't realize that they had special critting abilities, unless I'm just mistaken, and I've forgotten what that number was, which is entirely possible. Because basically I'm one-shotting mostly everything here, but, you know, I'm also, like, level 475, which makes sense. Again, not that the levels are necessarily indicative of what exactly it is that you have bought, because the levels just happen based on anything you buy. Basically, if I buy a ton of armor ups, then I will continue to gain levels as fast as if I had bought only magic damage ups. I think we get the point. But yeah, I mean, it's been slow. There have been little elements like that on the game that I wasn't clear about, and have picked up through thanks to you guys commenting, as well as, you know, just trial and error, because, you know, I may not be the brightest candle in the candle tree, which is not a thing. Because a candle tree would be a really bad idea and would burn itself down. But that is indicative of exactly why I'm not the brightest candle in the candle tree. Yeah, strike it up right now. There is the new meme, the candle tree, hashtag Rockley Smile. Probably have that reversed. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyway, I'm not smart. The end. Alright, so chicken legs. Metal-rimmed chests, you know, I have a feeling this is already going to not be the best run. I'm halfway through my HP already at this point. And I just chose to throw an axe for no reason there. I was trying to shield, and my big fat thumb just decided to roll over onto the B button. What's going on up here? Maya? Got some Maya going on? Keep it all misty and cloudy up here. You trying to be mysterious? Are you edgy? This is probably the edgiest area. I mean, the darkness, pretty edgy as well. But the Maya's like, it's not committed to one or the other. You know, the shadow area, the darkness, it's the dark world, whatever I call it. It's so obviously trying to be edgy, but this place is like, it can't quite make up its mind which way it wants to go. Which could, in the end, result in a bigger level of edginess. You know, it's alluding to it. It wants to leave some of the imagination. I'm hitting this dude backwards. Did you see that? I was moonwalking my way toward him while striking him with some sort of insane, like, Street Fighter 3 Alpha crossover attack. Take no damage. What if I... Can I just shield? Probably not, right? Oh. I can do that. That's helpful. I'm pretty sure getting hit with one of these counts as taking damage, even if you're shielding. Yeah, alright. Well, I could have experimented and tried that out, but whatever. I don't really care. There's far too many projectiles on the screen right now. You guys have told me like 100 times how dangerous and crazy it gets when you get to New Game Plus Plus Plus. You know, the next one that I haven't reached yet, and it just basically turns into a bullet hell game. I'm not sure I really want to go there, like ever. But maybe I will. When I finish doing whatever else I feel like doing, I will just throw myself to the wolves and see if there is a point where I simply can't progress anymore due to lack of skill. And if that's the case, well, you know, I'm setting myself up for a really disappointing time, right? Because then we're going to get to a certain level, a certain episode of the series, I'm just going to go, guys, This is the episode where I admit to you I can no longer play any more Rogue Legacy because I'm simply not sufficiently skilled to play it. And then everybody will go, "Aww," and then I'll go, "Da-da-da-da," and then I'll be really upset. It's not what I want to do. Hey look, I just got a strength increase of 1. And we are now at the point in the game where that will be the only way that I can actually progress as a character. The rest of these scats? I'm the scat man. Wee ba 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 da boop. Ba 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 da ba da ba da ba wee ba 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 da boop. That song is basically running in some sort of like multi-threading configuration at all times. It's either that or like Guile's theme, or... Oh wow, that was a terrible run. Oh, Death Defy. I missed you, bro. I haven't seen you in a while. Let's immediately die again, because that's basically how that always goes. I don't have Foos, otherwise I would have Foosed already. But yeah, my head is constantly running like a DJ hero track, where there's like the 2 music tracks, and they're just running parallel to each other, and then you're just crossfading between the 2. So I've got like my, one side is on the left, I've got my cognition and my rambling thought patterns, and on the right side I've got some sort of a song, and then you just switch back and forth with the little fader slider on the bottom. What am I looking at here? Paladin, Spell Sword. Let's do a Spell Sword. Let's mix things up. That is pathetic. 34,000. Well, I said I would buy this last piece of armor, so let's do that first. Spell Sword looks awesome, though. I have to give him credit there. Vampirism, Siphon, and Air Jump. It's a nice-looking armor set. I'm not going to say it's not. What would be a way to configure the Spell Sword that would be useful for me? Is there anything really nice here that I could do? Damage return. I don't know, I kind of want to leave things the way they are. The crit chance and all that. I mean, health and mana would be probably useful. Yeah, alright, let's do that. I love the sound that happens, too, when you smack stuff. What's my crit at? 564, that's really not bad. Alright, so we'll spend the rest of that, and we're at 46 out of 75 with 2,683 left. I forgot what the runes cost again. Basically every single time I forget. Oh, it's 3,000 again. Not a whole lot I can do about it, so we're just going to waste a bunch of money. Right? I mean, there isn't anything else I can buy at all at this point. I never really understood what the haggle ability was supposed to do for me, because now that I'm at basically the end of the game, like, probably few people even bother to get this far in, and I now am in a position where I do actually need to save a little bit of money because of the position I've left myself in purchase-wise, and maybe you're supposed to spread that out among several types of purchases, but in my case, I just have the one, and it costs like 6,000, and there's just nothing I can do about it. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna spend a bunch of money, I'm gonna lose a bunch of money. Oh, right, I have to use my chakrams now, don't I? Me and adapting to different class conventions are basically worst enemies, unfortunately. Not saying it's not a powerful class, it quite is. I really do enjoy it, actually. I've learned after that one boss fight, I was like, hey, wait a minute, this guy can actually do a whole bunch of damage. Somehow I haven't died either, which is kind of impressive. But for the most part, I find that spell character classes are just not my thing. Despite that, though, I am still going to play as them, and I am still going to enjoy them to some degree. I just probably won't be as successful in those runs. I'm going to still strive to be. I'm not saying I'm giving up or anything. And we are at a position now where the amount of mana I have is actually substantial enough that it should be able to fund one of these characters to be able to actually get something done. I'll just try my best and keep using these big fat attacks. Chakram does a lot of damage, and the fact that I really don't even have to worry about MP at all is kind of cool. Defeat all enemies. Let's do this. Yeah, you just charge into it. That's what I like to see. I should really be firing in this direction, right? I can take out all the dudes on the top without even having to look at them, really. And we got a armor increase. Neat. So I guess if I do farm long enough, I could still try and make some strides towards becoming even more, OP as far as that goes. Kind of nice that they don't completely abandon you even after you finish off all the skill tree stuff. Although, you know, it's not really meaningful at this point. Like, the amount of increase you'd get would be so trivial versus the level that things get to be at this point. Like, the increase I get from, like, +1 to my armor or +1 to my attack is instantly canceled out by the concept of exactly how much the enemies get more powerful by me simply taking off that Grace Rune or something. Why is the chest still green over here? Pretty sure I opened it. Oh, it's just that bug again, I suppose. Still suffering from the plague of itchy nose syndrome. It's the worst, man. What's going on? So we've got another room to the top. Yeah, just so you know what's going on behind the scenes, basically every single time that I stop talking, I'm like, just rubbing my nose ferociously. It's like the worst. I don't like it at all. I used to get that way when I would play Blaze Blue. Between every match, I would sit there and I was like ferociously just like beat up my nose for some reason, because it just became like a habit that I reinforced. Like, whether or not my nose was actually itchy, it decided it was gonna be itchy whenever a match ended, because that was the time when I was like channeling all of that anxiety from the, you know, how tense the match just was into apparently furiously tearing up my nose. I don't know. It's real weird. Anyway, so we're actually not doing too badly. I know everybody says the spell sword is so OP. You know, I don't disagree necessarily, it's just not something I always choose to pick. But I am starting to see it for myself, for real. Oof. Gotta put the freaking money right on the spikes, don't you? Every time. Alright, so what's going on to our right? Oh, we've got the boss room for some guaranteed health. Don't even need the magic, but we could use the gold. And I am looking forward to still doing occasionally, despite the, you know, how much of an emphasis I put on me doing, like, weird runs and stuff, I still want to occasionally do, like, a super high gold run with my best, most competitive class builds, which would basically be the Barbarian King or Queen, configured with almost exactly the set that I'm using at this very moment. You know, give or take the one helmet situation, which I'm not really sure if it's better or worse yet. I really like having like 1500 HP. I think that's a really nice talent for me to have. I also like that these guys are not that much of an issue when I have the ability to fly and throw like infinite chakrams. I can just fly around with them. Nobody cares. Alright, so let's go down. What do we have over here? Spike Ball, Paradise, not interested. I will take the chicken though. Oh, the things that video games have me say. So we've entered the Land of Darkness. Still don't really want to hang out there. Nothing at all going on down here, though. Oh, geez. Well, take a little bit of damage and go back up and to our left and down. What do we have over on this side? Okay, lots of stuff. Probably going to die in a moment. I do try and keep watch on my health because it is pretty lame when you just all of a sudden find yourself dead and weren't expecting it. Plus, a lot of the time, you could actually have picked up a bunch of the stuff on the ground in the last moment. So I prefer to do that if it's at all possible. Oh wow, that's actually enough to kill stuff in one hit now. And it seems like the MP is just like no longer a situation at all for me anymore. Wow, those dudes are strong. It took 2 chakram hits and an actual melee strike for it to die. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to play a spell sword a bit more. Maybe you guys will be happy if I do that. Alright, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go up and to the right. And what's going on up there? Let's see. Alright, a couple more magicians, or a magician fireball dude. What are they called? Pyrites or something? Isn't that just like fool's gold? I went gold panning one time. It was kind of fun. It was one of those, like, totally contrived, like, you could be a gold panner today, and then you come by and there's, like, a dude, and he gives you the stuff, and then you go in, like, this little fake make-believe gold panning area, and you just sift through a bunch of silt, and sometimes you pull out a little tiny bit of gold, and it's already been pre-put there and all that. What do we have here? A barbarian including dwarfism and gay walking tank. Alright, sounds good to me. But yeah, despite the contrived situation that gold panning was set up in, it was still pretty cool. Okay, and we've got 7,000 left, which is actually enough to buy at least a rune or two. I think. What am I going to do with these? Should I do them in order, or kind of just pick ones at random, right? Maybe I'll just pick one that's useful to me. Or just like buy a bunch of the grace runes and make the game even easier and see how long I live. Take a little bit less gold, but be able to guaranteed explore more of the castle or something like that. Could be interesting, I suppose. I know it's probably exactly the opposite of what you guys actually want me to do. Whatever, I'll pick a vampirism rune there. And this is actually probably going to be a pretty good run. I really didn't need to actually put that other grace rune there. So that should not only give me less gold because I took away a gold rune, right? But then it should also handicap me on top of it because the enemies will be lower level. What level are they now? 126. Man, that's low. Well, I figured I'll give myself another, you know, bonus just because I have less reach or something. Still took 3 hits for that guy to die. Did I not crit at all there? What happened in that situation? I actually start to get used to the using the chakrams all the time. You know, it could be kind of cool to just rely completely on spells, so maybe I will train myself in that line of thinking at some point. What's going on over here? Why do they seem harder, even though they should be easier? They're definitely lower level, but yet they seem harder to me. I guess it's just picking the Barbarian, less strength. Which you'd think isn't the case. You would think the Barbarian would be the melee powerhouse, not necessarily the Paladin. The Paladin should probably be the one that should have the most health, in my ideals anyway. And maybe that's just one of those like leftover preconceptions from like AD&D tropes or something. AD&D. Advanced, oh yeah, I guess that is a thing. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I meant to just say D&D, but then it sort of came out sounding like ADD and D. You ever have ADD and D? It's like Attention Deficit Dungeons and Dragons disorder, where you just, everything you do brings you back to Dungeons and Dragons. You think you're going out shopping, but actually you're just like throwing little scraps of fireball paper at people, and they just think you're a strange person. You ever seen that video? It's pretty funny, actually. Can I, oh, seriously, can I just hit him for once in my life? Evidently not. Alright, so what's going on above us? Let's go over there. I always have a problem with role-playing, like, personally. I'm not saying I'm judging anyone who does this at all, by any means, but that would be the silliest thing if I did, because I'm constantly around people who do that kind of thing. But personally, I feel sort of embarrassed when I do role-playing stuff. Not, like, play role-playing games, but when I have to, like, act out the part of a character in a video game. I can do it, like, especially when I'm by myself, but it makes me feel just, like, awkward when I'm in front of people. I feel like I'm trying to put on a show in a way that I just don't feel quite comfortable doing. I'm not really sure why that bothers me. I've never really been into acting, though. That's just, like, a thing that I've missed out on my whole life. I've never just, you know, been able to put myself in that mindset of, like, assuming the role of someone else and taking it seriously. Like, I could do it for a second, and then I just start to laugh, or, like, I just feel really embarrassed or anxious or something. I don't know, maybe somebody else out there knows what I'm talking about. It's just strange. I don't really know, like, very many things else in my life that I feel that way about, where I just, like, I feel so much dissonance in my mind when I'm doing it, like, I feel like I really need to stop. The only other things that happen like that would be, like, looking at RWTF. That definitely has that effect on me. Just spending a couple minutes there makes me need to run away. I have a problem, like, looking at gory stuff, though. It's not that I haven't seen my fair share of gore, I certainly have, but, like, the actual, like, real pictures of it, like, the way that the internet has become desensitized to violence kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like, I just don't like looking at people in pain or suffering or horrible gore. And, like, especially don't like looking at dead stuff. Like, none of that stuff floats my boat. You know, I know we're all different. Some people don't seem to be too fazed by it, and, you know, whatever, you know, works for you. I just personally don't get into it. But it just seemed like a hive of that kind of thing over on RWTF, and I guess kind of by definition, right? Because that is the title. But there are certain things that are just like really surreal and strange that I totally do like to look at, so it's a bit of a conflict of interest for me because, you know, I didn't want to miss those things, but I did have to unsubscribe. Oh, that was a mimic, and I forgot to look at the map. Not really sure what's a good example of like a WTF thing that I do like to look at. I guess like you know, when a squirrel is, like, in somebody's shower and they don't understand why, or, like, some ridiculous thing that's happened and just doesn't make any sense, like somebody left a really creepy message in your office cubicle or something, and it's just these strange day-to-day incidences of things. I do kind of find those entertaining. So unfortunately, I had to throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one. Also a pretty strange idiom that came up to be a thing that people say. You know, who's throwing any babies out with any bathwater? Hopefully no one. Don't throw babies. How about that? You know, that is how you become a scum lord, or scum prime rather, is you throw a baby out of a car window. So I mean, why do that? I don't think you could put much bathwater in a car though. Remember those commercials? That was actually a thing for a while. They had that commercial where there was like the cops pulling people over for drunk driving, and they would open the door and the entire car would be full of like wine or tequila or something. Or, you know, faux tequila, because obviously they're not going to put actual alcohol in a car. But it was a pretty funny visual to see the dude, and he's like, "What's the matter, officer? I'm not drunk." And then he opens the door, and it's just like spilling out a tidal wave of liquid. People do strange things for advertising, and it seems like a lot of fun, actually. Setting up some of the props and things, or making those situations seem real. Seems like a thing that I could have been probably pretty happy doing if I was in the right time at the right place to actually have that be a thing that I could take part in. And I guess now that I'm, you know, doing video stuff, maybe that could be in my future. Maybe. Probably not. I don't think I want to, like, move to California or anything where that stuff happens. I'm pretty sure... Is that pretty much exclusively where that still happens? I think it is, right? Even now, it's like anything to do with video... stuff is all happening still in California. It's just sort of strange that like one place in the country became the epicenter of all, you know, acting. I guess it makes sense because, you know, the networking in the community starts in one place and people work out from there. But I mean, and I'm sure to some degree it isn't exclusively that, but you know, it's just like if you're gonna be anyone, that's the place you go. And it's also, it sort of strikes me as a little strange that, like, even YouTube has to be that way, because YouTube is, like, a bunch of individual people. But it seems like more and more people that I know are like, well, YouTube's going on in California, or that's where, like, the offices of things are happening. Where is Google's office, anyway? It's probably, like, in the Midwest somewhere, right? Because buying offices are too expensive in major metropolitan areas like that. Could be. I don't know. Then again, if anybody could afford it, it would be Google. Is the whole, you know, Silicon Valley thing, that's kind of, like, gone now, right? Or is that still a thing? I don't know. You guys can inform me of all of this, because I am so out of the loop when it comes to that stuff. As much as I am totally engaged in tech stuff and video game stuff, obviously, but I am not, you know, a person who is engaged in the social element of that, which is primarily where that all goes on. Alright, so what's going on in our Rogue Legacy run so far? We're at 26,000. A little bit of a slow run so far, but we are in the Maya, so things could pick up any moment, or I could just find that the tide of the run turns, and I start taking a bunch of damage. Actually, that's kind of likely what will happen. Tiny, tiny sword, but it strikes hard, right? So funny that the sword that's basically the mightiest is like this bizarre day-glow one. I would think if it was going to be anything, it should be like a black sword with a red glowing edge or something. Usually go for, you know, prime badassery when you're going for fancy weapons and armor. That's one thing WoW got right. Although, they did reach this point of, like, no return where basically everything was so badass they had to reset and start back at 0 again, and there were points where I would get, like, a level 70 shield or something, and this was primarily in Burning Crusade, if I remember correctly. Like, when that expansion pack came out, everybody was really psyched, and then they found out their really fancy, you know, grindy gear that they had to spend 6 months working toward was replaced with some horribly crappy-looking wooden shield that had, like, a dithered, horrible texture. And I speak from experience. It's exactly something that happened to me. Although I never did the, you know, extreme, grindy, guild-runny stuff. I came in at basically the last moment when WoW was getting to, like, the end of its, like, level 60 is a big deal Molten Core stuff. And then they started releasing expansion packs. So I was right at the end of that. I think I was going to run, like, Molten Core, or maybe I did run it 1 or 2 times, and I was going to do, like, Onyxia and all of that junk. I was just finding out about, like, the high-end dungeons, because I took forever to level. I was not in any hurry. And I played a Fury Warrior, if you were wondering. Not that WoW needs to be a thing that I talk about during Rogue Legacy, but it just seems like we're on the topic. I might as well mention it, right? As I'm sure plenty of you guys could feel similarly, or have had similar experiences when it comes to MMOs. I know we had that talk before, but it's still a thing on my mind for whatever reason. 36k, alright, we're getting somewhere. Do I have a reason to foos right now? I gotta keep telling myself, like, hey, don't forget to hit Y sometimes. And then I have to run this set of checks and balances in my head. I'm like, alright, is this a moment when I should worry about hitting Y and people will get upset at me if I don't? No? Alright, then we're good. And then I just forget again for another 10 minutes. And then I run the check again. I'm like, is this a time? No, still good. And before you know it, the whole episode's passed and I've used it like 2 times. Pretty weird how that goes. Have I explored the whole Maya yet? It feels like I've spent a while here by now. 38k run. I don't think this is going to be my best run ever, because I am now at, what, like 3/5 of my health if I were to make a quick estimation. Alright, boss room. Now we are all of a sudden looking much, much more viable. I mean, we've got to be in our final few episodes here. What do we have left, like... What was it, 35 point? I forgot what we were at in terms of progression on the stat stuff. Oh, yeah, well, I meant to actually use the other item. Yeah, I'm still that dumb that I can actually press the wrong button. Here you go. Yeah, I'll just stun lock you if that's a thing. Much rather you just hung out in this corner. Although you're taking forever to kill, man, so I'm just gonna finish that off. Hey, gold and rubies and, well, just diamonds, really. Why are there not rubies and emeralds in the treasure chest? That would make me feel so much better. Take no damage. Can I do this? I think I can if I use the D-pad, because I'm pretty small and I have enough flight ability, so let's jump just high enough. Alright. Move over, move up, and we're good. And what did I get? Carry up. I don't need that at all. I have so much carry that there's nothing I could do that would make me need more, I think. Anyway, where are we on the map now? We need to proceed up and left, and there's one more room to explore over there. So let us do that. Oh, I forgot these 2. They're like wooden lawn chairs, actually. I feel bad for the castle's interior decorator. I mean, the amount of overtime that he or she must have to employ themselves on is probably the worst thing in the world. They should make a show on, like, HGTV. You know, like, lifestyles of the rotating castles, and just have people talk about, like, the amount of work that goes into decorating one of these rooms, and how quickly I can just F it all up. Actually, that is a really good idea. Like, I didn't express the idea yet, but in my mind it's already gone by, so for me, it was a good idea. But I will tell you what that idea was. The idea was that you would have a show about people exploring the insane machinations of, like, Victorian-era castles with secret rooms and passages, and maybe that's already a show, but I've never heard of it. I would certainly watch it. You know, I could really go for some, like, rotating bookcases and stuff, and, you know, spiral staircases that lead to secret rooms, and, you know, what do you keep in those secret rooms? Why do people use these things? You know, run us through scenarios, have those, like, black and white recreations that they seem to reserve exclusively for those horrible ghost hunter shows, where they, like, pretend that they are the people in the situation, like, dress them up in, you know, proper era gear. I've already been in this room. Why did I... Haven't I? Or maybe it was another room that looked similar. Let's go down to the castle again and finish exploring that and head to the forest, perhaps. Why am I constantly pitching TV shows on this series? I don't know. I wonder if that's just a common theme that I will bring back in other Let's Plays. You know, for somebody who's done a bunch of Let's Plays, namely me, and spent quite a lot of time doing them, I actually feel like I'm pretty early in my understanding of how to properly do Let's Plays. I mean, I think it's going okay. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying everything, but it's like... I've got a lot of hours doing them, yet I still feel like I could do a lot more to make them more exciting. You know, but I'm still learning, I'm still adapting. I've been doing YouTube now in total, seriously, for like, what, a year and a quarter-ish? So, you know, in anybody's career, that would be a very early point. So I hope to get even better at all of that stuff over time. And that's the point where I will just promptly stop speaking and reinforce the fact that I need to do what I just said. So let's go up here. There we go. Oh, gold. Very nice. And what do we have above? Oh, well, that room is too tall, so I guess I will just abandon it. I want to get this vine. A little awkward in that transition there. Gotta work with the time signature we're given, you know? Oh, okay. That was a little close. Take no damage. This is usually one that I can get out of unscathed. Also, I have the ability to block projectiles, so that should help me out quite a bit. Oh, I almost just wandered onto those spikes. I want to try and cut those down. You've got to be joking. I even saw it coming, and my finger hovered over the Y button. Just didn't happen. Whatever, I'm not worried about it. It's no sweat. It would have only been like a little like +2 attack or +2 magic or some other thing like that. Okay. Knock him out. Pretty good gold from that guy, actually. Oh, I like when they stack up all those pots for me. That just makes everything easier. Reminds me of Quartet on the Sega Master System, one of my favorite bizarre, surreal, sci-fi, like, fantasy shoot-'em-up games. I actually played 2-player local co-op on it, and it had just some of the strangest level configurations I've ever seen. I really want to play that game, actually. I really want to do some videos on it, because it was certainly weird. And kind of right up my alley, actually, now for, like, the preferences of games that I look forward to playing, and, like, the weird indie games I look for. Quartet was definitely something that, if it came out now, I would be, like, all over it. It had, like, such good music and sound effects, and very strange level design, very unorthodox level design as well. And I don't think I ever finished it. The bosses just got so hard. Actually, the whole thing was really hard. It reminds me a little bit of how surreal Fantasy Zone was and Space Harrier. Like, basically, the Sega Master System was just a haven of surreal games for me growing up. My childhood was punctuated by a lot of moments of that, and I think I may have spent at least equal, if not slightly more time actually playing Master System than I did Nintendo. I think I just had more games. I'm not sure why that was, but I was like always trying to build up my library of Master System games. And you take games like, you know, the Alex Kidd series, and all the ones that I mentioned, it's like, man, there was a lot of good stuff back then in that field, you know, so to speak. I know now it's like indie games are really thriving on the whole surreal thing, but it's like back then, they actually had that kind of already figured out. I mean, it was certainly a limitation of the graphical elements that they were allowed to be able to display, that they would go in new directions like that just to keep things fresh and strange and original. But sometimes it felt like they did it on purpose just to be weird. And I kind of appreciated that, and maybe that was partially why I was so attracted to that stuff now. Oh, wow. Just keep foosing and hope for the best. It worked! Now let's just take hits all the way back up. Brilliant. Alright, so we've got 68,000. This run is, it's not an unqualified brilliant success, but it's not a failure either. And we're not quite done with it yet either, but, you know, we're getting there. 435 out of 1643 total life. Man, that is a lot of HP. Did it go higher at some point? I feel like I read that it was like 1800 one time, but maybe I'm just making that up. I need a little spreadsheet of like what all my best records of various things were. That's one thing I hope to see more of in the future in games, like really, really serious stat tracking in just about every element would be very welcome to me. You know, I spend a lot of time trying to figure that stuff out anyway, so why not just make it all happen for us? I mean, I know right now the big thing with the new consoles coming out, it's all about like recording your footage, which is really just going to give Microsoft and Sony a way to be able to like crack down on who's recording what and make sure that they don't ever have to, you know, have people monetizing content on YouTube or some horrible god-awful thing like that. But, you know, I'd like to see that become an emphasis as well, like if they could mandate certain levels of stat tracking. I know it's gotten better for sure. Games like Grand Theft Auto and such have been really, really in-depth with their stat tracking, but it would be neat to see all games embrace that sort of mentality. Although, you know, certain games are more lended to it, more useful in that regard than others. Because I'm sure there are certain games, like, there's really no stats to track, you know, you killed some enemies, you died, whatever. Just keep playing. It's not competitive like that, but you know, certain games definitely are. And with that chicken leg, we have now crossed back into the over 1k health realm. So I guess going down to the darkness means we're going to probably take care of that problem real fast. And maybe, just maybe, if we have a particularly run of good form here, we might actually be able to get over the 100k mark again. Like I've said in the past, that is sort of where I denote what is an acceptable or a viable money run in this case. Alright, sure, whatever. I'll just bonk into that guy and grab his gold. And there seems to be some sort of a treasure chest up here. Oh, right, and being down in the darkness means good music. Not that the other music isn't good, but probably my least listened to theme out of the set. And to our right, oh, we've got a little tower of boxes. Could do worse. I mean, not the best room as far as gold, but also, like I said, there have been plenty worse. Yeah, they're really missing, like, they need to have, like, a few static sprites for necklaces and, like, jewelry, rings and emeralds and sapphires and rubies all coming out of that treasure chest when you get to a certain level. Like, there should be something higher than a diamond, even if it's not necessarily worth anything or just slightly more or something like that. Yeah, I'm tired of your junk with your huge fireball projectiles. Suck it. 2 diamonds. What a cheapskate. Alright, I'm pretty sure we're gonna make it over 100. As long as this room isn't the one that just destroys me. May well be. Alright, you get out of here. Oh, jeez. This is a really bad room, actually. Oh, I should have foosed again. I have so much MP. We're at 98k. And I do want to eventually try and make it my goal to break 200k, because that is my record again. Well, we're real close to 200. We're like 190-something. I had to go and slip on a freaking banana peel and break my spine into a million pieces. Break my spine into pieces. This is my last resort. That would be the crossfading thing that I was talking about earlier, if you were here for that part of the conversation. Constantly running some song. A lot of times it's actually something from Mega Man 2 as well. I don't know if that's just me or what, but that game had really catchy soundtrack and music. Mega Man 1 did as well, but I think 2 was like the sweet spot for some of my favorite 8-bit music of all time. It's no wonder the mini-bosses played the crap out of that album, or that soundtrack, I guess. It's actually one of the things I did to start learning guitar, was I just kept playing along to the mini-bosses, like Mega Man 2 medley over and over again. And you get to that, like, the Dr. Wily theme at the end that turns into the epic ballad. It's a good feeling. Especially because I can pretty much play most of that stuff now, and before you go asking for me to record a rendition of it, probably not gonna happen. No guarantees. I mean, maybe it could, but I don't know. I don't really want to go that direction with the channel. I do necessarily, though, want to someday do more vlogging type stuff, so it's entirely possible that that could happen, but I'm not ready for it just yet. Actually, that's going to be all dependent on... I really need a better webcam. My webcam's kind of garbage still. I got one. I thought I got a great deal on it. It seemed like it was good at first. Because I mean, I only spent like $12 on the thing, but it was normally like a $35, $40 webcam, so I felt like I got a great deal, and I couldn't pass it up. But, you know, I realized the quality of it was a little subpar. Hey, Deathify, thanks. This is actually a moment when I could have wanted that. Would you please just go down? There we go. And no, that wasn't audio desync. I just have like a 3-second lag in my mind for what's happening in front of me. It's the crossfading, man. It takes a lot out of me. I devote too much brain power to sliding that slider over, and then I don't have the ability to actually commentate on things that are happening in real time anymore. It's a real tough spot. Oh, I can handle this room, I think. As I probably just die, no. Oh, okay, well, I'll just run into that zombie then. Why not? Why not? Why not? Zombie Schnoo. Well, we took out some good legions of the undead there. I'm pretty happy about it. Got another Paladin spell sword. Let's go for the spell sword for next episode. And we've got 107 thou. Is that going to be enough? Let's see, I can get 10 points. No, less than 10 points, so no, it's still not. Excuse me. Alright, so we're at 61 out of 75. Our magic is definitely going to be potent, which is part of the reason why I wanted to pick the spell sword. And we got 1,677 left, which is too little to spend on any other thing. So we are totally done with all equipment. It is all here. It has all been purchased. Ta-da! And we've still got a few relics left. Or runes, I should say. I keep wanting to call them relics for some reason. Well, by a few relics or runes, I mean a whole bunch, actually, but that's probably going to go by pretty quickly. 6,000 or 3,000 per. It's been going up like 200 to 300 each rune. I don't know, maybe another 2 or 3 runs there. I could probably finish off the skill tree next episode, and then like 2 or 3 episodes on the runes tops. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're going to be done real soon, and then we'll start moving on to new stuff. So thanks as always for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. I always do. I always enjoy this opportunity to babble nonsensically, I don't know what the hell, nonchalantly? That's not even what I mean. You know what I mean. But thank you for hanging out with me, as always. And please feel free to let me know if you're still enjoying the series. Let me know through comments if you want to leave likes, if you think I deserve them. That is always appreciated. And I will still be gauging the reception of these episodes as we move forward in this transitional period towards the next set of different types of Let's Play content from the Rogue Legacy series. And then I will be transitioning after, a bunch of those go through to either a new game or, again, we'll be staggering releases of these episodes with something else. Probably that, actually. I think I said in the past that is definitely what I'm doing. I'm definitely leaning towards it, but it's not 100%. So let me know what you'd like to see and hear and experience and taste and touch and feel and all of those good senses. And I will deliver the best sensory experience that I can for you. So thank you again. Hope you enjoy the series, and I will see you next time. Have a lovely night, guys. Later!